Howdy. Welcome to my shop. My name's Ron, and I'll be your host for the next 10 minutes or so. Being a fourth generation carpenter, wood is that's my language. It's my living, it's my hobby, it's my passion. One of those passions is making stocks. I've never had any formal training in this. I just wanted to put a piece of wood on a gun one day, and I seemed like that'd be a pretty unique challenge, so I tried it. And been going at it ever since, but honestly, I owe a lot of my success to my customers, my friends that have suggested this or that, different ways of doing it to produce a better outcome. And so I appreciate them. I owe them a great deal. The finish that I use was suggested by a friend of mine that owns a gun shop in Georgia, a guy named Dan. I've been friends with him for many years, and I owe him for that knowledge. So I don't suggest that my way is the only way. That's just not the case. I picked up my abilities to do this from watching other people and seeing other things, and then figuring out how to do that. So it's a process. Some ways are better, cleaner, faster. They require less effort. On and on it goes. And I'm open to learning new and better ways. I'm always looking for that. My grandfather used to say, never let a day go by that you don't learn something. So when I do, I'll often look up, thanks, Pop, because no matter how old you get, you still need to be learning new things. So come on in, see what's going on today. Howdy. Today I'm starting it's a Model 12 H&R. It's a Target model, and it was comparable to the 52 Winchester. The military, I believe they use these on their shooting teams, and matter of fact, the serial number actually has US in front of it. And so I don't know how closely these things, I think they were supposed to be about the same weight and same proportions and all that, so people could use them interchangeably on the shooting teams. It's a 22, obviously. 52 Winchester was one of the finest 22 target rifles probably ever made in any country. You can put your Anschutz and everything else out there. 52 is going to pretty much take them all. So this thing is a Target, a bull barrel, and I'm just checking the width of this stock, because the piece of wood that they sent for me to make this, the customer supplied his own wood. Apparently this wood has been in the family for 85, 90 years, and so that's what they want to use. But I don't have much play. I may have a light 1/8 of an inch bigger here than what the finished width is on the front of this. Problem is, this has got a little wave, just a little wave this way. I've got a little dip in it this way. That I can cut out, but the wave, to take a wave out, you got to take a little off this side, and a little off this side, and a little off this side, and so forth and so on. So I'm gonna have to tread lightly here and take off just enough to straighten this thing up. It may have, of course, the very tip end of it flares out. It may have a light 16th. By the time you take a light 16th off of this side and this side, you got a light 1/8. So I'm going to have to really be careful thinning this thing down to not get it too thin. So I'm going to work on a lot of this. Thinning down is going to be by hand with a hand plane, so I don't take off too much. And so I'm going to steady this thing, just kind of clamp it down and hold on to it, and get one side as straight and flat as I can, and then I'll come back, flip it over, put it on the planer, and make it the same thickness all the way through. That'll straighten up the other side. So off we go. I can get rid of some of the length of it where this really flares out on the end, I can lose some of that and just cut it off. That's very, very close. Barely, barely tails off on this butt end, just ever so slightly, but I'm concerned about taking it, making it any thinner. All right, let me explain something just as an aside. This is a carpenter thing, not a stockmaker thing. A plane, a hand plane, a well-tuned, well-sharpened plane, which this was one of my grandfather's planes. It cuts only when it's moving. A belt sander or a power plane cuts even if it's sitting still. If you got a belt sander going and you just leave it sitting in one place, it'll just dig a hole. So that's why this is better than a power tool. The longer the plane, the more average you take. The longer of a span it bridges, and it only takes off the high spots. And so a good, well-tuned hand plane is really something, and it involves some technique. You gotta learn how to use it, and you need to learn how to sharpen it, and also keep it lubricated. And I put paraffin wax on mine. People use beeswax. People use non-silicone sprays and things like that. But this straight edge says that is quite straight, and I'm going to put that side down right through my planer and see what happens to the other side. I've got a 16th, a heavy 16th, bigger than what I actually need. That's enough. If everything stays in the middle, that's enough. Now what I didn't clean up, the side that I hand planed did not clean up down here where it tailed off on the butt. That's okay. This is thinner than the fore end. That's alright. I can still create a center line that'll work. This doesn't have to be all there. On this side, there was such a wave that came in right here that all of this didn't clean up. From here down about 1 inch and then back out to nothing is a little scalloped edge, a little dip. But that's okay as well, because the fat part of this thing is down here. Up here is going to be gone anyway. So I can calculate where my center line is, and it's a plane, it's a straight plane. Down the sides of it, on both sides, it's a straight plane. Been doing a little sketching and some drawing, some stuff like that, and had to adjust a couple of things, just a couple. On how this sits in here. Now I'm going to draw my profile, my side view. Now I've got to put a center line all the way around this thing. If you've seen any of my videos before, you know how fond I am of a center line. It is a must have. Alright, I'm going to start milling. Mañana.